brighter light. Inner circles here where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come one, come all, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. Inner Circle podcast where love is well known.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Wednesday, August 27th. It's our normal business segment, but tonight we come together with a very, very heavy heart. I don't know, man, what's going on in our state. Second time in 2 months, we are experiencing a tragic event, and today we really hit close to home. At a school, kids. So it's so tragic. Out of voice. I don't know what those parents are going through. But we'll spend a minute, should I have a guest yet? I mean, it's appropriate, like, if you are mental health professional here tonight as a guest, but they will be coming. But before they can join us, Miss B and I will get started here just to, see the emotion we are feeling, what our state is going through for the second time, as I said, in 2 months, and even there, right, there's a lot of other events. So I'm your host, Abe Kamara. Thanks for joining us on this podcast. Miss B, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, Abraham. Good evening, Inner Circle podcast, folks. This is your girl, Miss B. Today is not a typical day, right? Um, I was at work, and because of the nature of the work that I do, the news hit us during a staff meeting, and immediately we were able to make connections to where this happened because we have partner organizations that we work with that organize in that area, organized through that church is a Catholic church. The Latino community is well known to have a strong Catholic faith. And so, our partner organizations, hearts and prayers go out to you guys from us at the organization in the community and here at the Inner Circle podcast as well. As a parent, and many of us at my work who are parents, we couldn't even begin to imagine, what those parents are going through and will be going through for a long time to come.
Yeah, and as I said, right, for those who don't know who haven't heard about it, it's been on national news, it's been on international news, local news. But today around about 9 o'clock, for most kids, especially private schools, Catholic schools, this week is the first week back to school. And then Monday was the first day. Today's the third day for most of them. As a tradition in the Catholic school, there's always like a back to school mass. There's a back to school mass that is done the first week of school. And then today, those the Annunciation Catholic school was having their back to school mass.
Yep.
This person from nowhere, decided to go there. with a rifle. I mean, imagine that with a rifle, a pistol, and a shotgun, and open fire. 19 folks were shot. Most of them, a majority of them kids. On a 8 and a 10-year-old were killed instantly on the scene in the church. And also, the gunman took his own life.
To her,
Apparently, and
it's a female.
well, there's conflicting. I mean, I don't even want to get who I
Yeah.
mean, the person is. I mean, don't want to get legitimacy to that, obviously. But I mean, just imagine that, right? Kids. That was when I was listening to a story today. Like when most family were dropping their kids off this week back to school. This is a tradition. Folks posting pictures and stuff like that, and then most of them were saying, what I hope for is my kids to be safe,
Yep.
right? My child to be safe. And to imagine a couple of days later, a tragedy of this magnitude will happen, it's it's hard to express in words, and for some of us, it really, really hit close to home, because I have kids. I have my two kids in
Hmm.
Catholic school. So my boy and my girl started school this week. My daughter started her freshman year, and then my son is a junior at Tutini Grace High School. It's like, so it's tragic, to 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 see that I mean, to your point earlier, that you send your child to school or your kids to school, and then not see them again. But it's just not the first time. This thing keep happening in this country, right?
Yeah.
It's like these gunmen keep targeting these kids, or these folks keep targeting these kids. It's like it's so tragic. It's like, man, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough, Miss B. Like, just another senseless gun violence. Two beautiful children, two beautiful children, right? It's like I can't imagine what those parents are going through.
I mean, right now we want to um give grace to law officials, give grace to the electeds and the leaders, and we want to keep the prayers, keep the kids in our prayers and the family in our prayers. But we all know, unfortunately, this will happen again. Statistically, school shootings happens every day, multiple, unfortunately. Can it be prevented? Yes. And I think you have organizations, you have individuals who make it their charge to address mental health awareness, the importance of investing in mental health. Mental health should be like having medical insurance. It should just be a norm. We call this the great country of the great USA, the number one country, the superpower. I mean, all these accolades we give ourselves um, as a institution, but getting down to the root cause of gun violence and addressing the mental health issues here in this country is something we can't come together around.
Okay.
Both sides are going to say this is wrong. It shouldn't be happen. But when it comes to the solutions, we are divided.
That's the thing, though, Miss B. I know you go to mental health, and when these things happen, we run to mental health, right? It's like, but as an immigrant, I struggle to understand this country, this beautiful country, America, addition to guns. I struggle to understand that. I know we always say, "Oh, it's mental health, mental health," but if you never had a tool for those who are suffering from mental health, right, to destroy or shatter innocent lives. Imagine they have over 400 million guns in this country.
Yep.
Civilian guns, not military, civilian guns. 400 million civilian guns in this country. As an immigrant, you and I
Population
come
of
from a world.
340 million. A
It's
population
like,
of 340 million people.
you and it's like I'm from a war-torn country. From a war-torn country, but yet, even from a war-torn country, like that is unimaginable, right? It's a peaceful country. There's so many law enforcement. Okay, you have police, you have sheriff, you have state trooper. Yeah, you name it, FBI, ATF. Why do people need guns in this country? I struggle to understand that. You can
I
walk to a
don't.
Walmart.
Are we
It's
not
like
living in the same place? I don't struggle to understand that. We
I
promote
do struggle
violence
to understand.
to an
I do
extent.
struggle to understand that.
No,
I
we
do.
promote violence in this country to a very high extent. We do. We
So
do.
why
Because
so why
people,
why every time people want to blame it on mental health? If you can walk, okay, the young man, right? Like now, or whoever they are, right? I mean, the person that did the shooting this morning, w- according to the chief of police of Minneapolis, this person never had any criminal record. No criminal record.
but
Okay,
if you check the background of
walk in,
most mass shooters,
and
they don't have a
but
criminal
those
record.
but those gun liquidate. Whether he was suffering from mental health, he wasn't suffering from mental health, but they bought those guns legally, legally.
Again,
And then
why?
you want to blame it on
How?
mental health. I do struggle with that to understand that.
It's one
And
of the highest causes for violence, any type of violence in a society
then why
is
make it accessible?
it's I'm on the side of the aisle that is trying to limit the accessibility. Why are we making guns? And that is the thing. It's like the need to make money overarches everything. That is the core and the root problem of the society in which we live. The need to make money, therefore, allows for a lot of things to happen in this society.
You
And
know,
we're not going to give ourselves time to grieve. That is the part that hurts at the core, because we didn't shut down. We didn't say all businesses, everybody go home, be with your family and friends. We did not do that as a country, as a state, as a city. None of the, because why? The first thing we're going to say is we will rebuild. Anytime a tragedy happens, we prayers, first we'll say prayers go out, condolences go out. The second sentence is going to be we will rebuild. We will not let this, do this to us. We will remain resilient. That too is the core of the problem. Why are we not allowed to grieve? Why is grief seen as weakness? And so I may be fine, my health may be fine, but over time, if I'm made to continue to just keep that trauma in, not address it, I'm not allowed to grieve, you're building something up in me that therefore needs to be released some way, somehow, which can be in the form of different types of criminal activity.
I mean, like you said, I mean, I know you said earlier, like, you're on the side, like fighting for reform or whatever. Let me say this here tonight, maybe for folks that don't know me or folks that haven't heard, right? I am a Republican, okay? Registered Republican, but I do struggle though with the Second Amendment, right? That continue to justify the slaughter of especially innocent children, right? It's like children should be learning in classrooms, not hiding on a desk, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Families should feel safe taking their kids to school. Why should people feel that, oh, it is a Second Amendment right to walk into a Walmart or guns to the range to have guns?
And
And then
people
from there, when a person
violently fight for
and
that right.
and and then when the person feels like, oh, someone wronged them, or they don't feel right in the brain or in the mind, they go and commit senseless violence. They shatter lives. They destroy lives. That's the one thing I don't. It's like there's so many other things. There's so many other things that we could have right up. I mean, like today we're arguing, in one of our chat room back and forth, and someone said, "Oh yeah, they should station armed guards at these schools." What do you want to do? Like have militarize these schools? I don't want to see myself taking my kids to school and see armed guards sitting all around and stuff like that. Is that a solution? No, that's not. To me, the solution is like, man, get rid of the Second Amendment right. I'm telling you, I don't think this country needs it. There's like there's nowhere in the world I feel safe than America, because there's so many law enforcement in this country. Okay, I mean your local police department, your sheriff, ATF, FBI. you name it, and
And
all of
statistically,
yeah, you know what I mean? Is why
and
people
statistically,
feel like
where
I
you
have
see
why
them
do I
the
have to put
most,
a gun in my house to feel I have to protect my even those that have gun in the house sometimes they get murdered. You
because
know,
we have those systems in place, unfortunately. Um, Statistically, where you see mass amount of police, you're going to see the highest amount of crime. And people never make those connections. In the most high crime areas, we have the highest amount of police. We have the most highest police budgets. You will find what's also happening contradictory to all of that is the fact that those communities will have least access to education, the least access to health care, the least access to mental services. They will have the least access to jobs, high paying jobs. They will have the least access to housing. All of these things that create a stable home environment for people get stripped away, divestment happens, and the main solution we have for it is high investment in law enforcement. To the extent now we're saying nobody's addressing having health counselors in the school, having more people in the school buildings, because the amount of students, according to staff, that ratio is very high. High population of students, low population of staff in these buildings. Nobody is trying to address none of the core things that need to be in these educational buildings. The only thing we want to always do is invest in more police officers, invest in a high military presence, invest in opening a FBI headquarters, because having the headquarters will make you be able to sort out these people who are planning to do mass shootings before it happens. It's not. They're evidently they are not scared of the police. They're not scared of the FBI. They're not scared of law enforcement at all. When they get up and decide to arm themselves with bombs. Like, why the heck do you need to take a bomb to a school building? Arm themselves with bombs and multiple types of rifle and ammunition, knowing who exists, knowing the police exist, knowing we have the National Guard, knowing we have military, knowing we have drones, knowing we have all these military type things in place. It does not put fear in that person from getting up and deciding they're going to go shoot up a school building. So why is that the solution everybody you're hearing today, or people want to put on this problem?
and the other thing is, again, our condolences to the bereaved family, to those that are going through this tragedy. You know, it's like no amount of sorry can bring those two kids back. No amount of sorry, uh, can heal the wounds of the 17 folks that are. I mean, it's like two of them are still in critical conditions. They have been treated. The majority of the kids are still in hospital. They have been treated. So it's a huge tragedy. Our state is grieving, and not only that, it's like just the whole gun violence thing, right? Before even today, there's another mass shooting. I mean, someone in Minneapolis, so another lunatic, went and opened fire, wounded a person, killed one person, and wounded so many other people, about 30 people. So for the last 24 hours or 24 to 48 hours, Minneapolis has been experiencing some tragic violence, gun violence, instead of that. So our prayers are with the bereaved, those that are experiencing these tragedies, especially the case today. It's so tragic. So our prayers are with them. And this thing hit home for so many, right? The company that I work for, we receive an email from our CEO that two of our coworkers were directly affected. One of
Mm.
them had a child killed. Another one had a child wounded. Okay, so this tragedy is like it's hitting close to home, even for our immigrant, community. Is as I said to your point earlier, right? I mean, there are a lot of Latinos, in that community. So they too are going through that and stuff like that. So even our immigrant community has been affected. So our prayers are with the bereaved family. It's so tragic that such a thing has to happen. So well,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
we have a
and the
guest.
statistics
We,
is scary.
yeah,
Go
we have
ahead.
a guest coming. We have a guest coming in studio. As I said, it's like kind of a just start in this topic. She's a mental health professional, and while we discuss tonight, maybe she will also help our audience, how to heal and how to deal with such a senseless tragedy. So yeah, on mute. Yeah, on mute. But folks, tonight, yeah, on mute. Stay on mute. Got it?
Hello.
Yeah. Hello, Andrew. So, folks, tonight we have, this was planned long before, and then now, as I said, this tragedy happened. So, we have Edrence Yalley in studio tonight. She's our guest. She's a mental health professional. She just opened a studio in Broken Park. The topic which I've been discussing tonight is beyond therapy, classes, events, and culture in the mental health movement. She is a mental health professional. She has a studio, as I said, in Broken Park. But tonight we're going to switch it up, right? Instead of talking about our business, kind of just a tragedy we are all dealing with and stuff like that. And but Adrian's welcome, Miss Yade, welcome to the show. And can you tell our audience who you are and what you do?
Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. Abraham, and hey, Miss B, and hello to everyone else that's tuning in. Like you said, my name is Edrence Yalley, and I am the owner and founder of Faith in Action, which is a faith-based wellness coaching community. I host classes and workshops on mental health, just really understanding like the signs, the symptoms, behaviors, like mental health first aid is most of the stuff that I learn and encourage for people to learn for their own, mental health for their children or their students or in the workplace. Um, so outside of that, pretty much I just help people manage stress. Everyday life is stressful, and just finding healthy ways to cope with the stress through different ways: prayer, meditation, movement, community conversations, just like we're having right now.
Yeah. I mean, as a professional, what do you make of today tragedy, right? Especially like not only today, but over the last couple of days, and even like 2 months ago, our state, is going through some tragic event. As a professional, wellness, and mental health, helping folks to deal with stress. What do you make of today? What will you tell folks that are going through these, situations?
A lot of times people see tragedy and like lose hope and faith in God because it's like, why these things happening to people. And right, we don't have all the answers as people. But it's important for us to still hold on and keep that faith, right? There's some people that are actually ill and never get the help that they need that cause these type of things. But then also out of like mental health, like the emotional well-being of people aren't well to have like hatred to harm people in that level, right? Especially innocent people that have not done nothing to you. So as a lot of emotions evolve, so not only just the mental aspect, but the emotional. So I would say to honor how you feel in this moment regarding those things. And the usual cliche thing they say, oh, thoughts and prayers with people, which is true, but we need to take aligned action to reduce a lot of these things. We've been thoughts and prayers since my daughter was in kindergarten.
Hmm.
And since I was a little girl with Columbine, right?
Hmm.
So, for how many people, innocent children at that, are going to be harmed for these things? I believe we can have the grace to grieve and honor our emotions, but also take a growth aspect as a community on these type of things. So
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
Miss B.
Thank you, Edrence. I appreciate what you were saying. I want you to kind of, I feel like I was hearing a distinction between mental health and emotions. So can you kind of give us a little bit more about that?
Mental is more like your thoughts, your perspective. Some people could say think positive or just having negative thoughts towards other people, for whatever reason that you take to harm someone. So, people think or say what was running through their mind to do something like that, right? So that's a thought. Like, what thought is it to do harm to people and children? But then the emotional, like how angry or upset or whatever it is that you have to do these things, because ultimately this is violence, right?
Yeah.
This is, oh, if you want to put the full thing on it, like they like to promote, this is gun violence.
Yeah.
So let's like state what it is and name it so that we can actually find sustainable solutions for those things.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, the other thing there's, I mean, the other thing there's, though, right? During time like these, sometimes you have, the blame game, right? It's like, oh yeah, the person was, the person is this, the person is that, or or the community, is, I don't know. It's just like there's so much blame be going around, in moment like these, right? But how best can we channel our emotions? How best can we say, how can we best heal instead of just maybe like, oh, it's like it's because of this, it's because of that. How can we heal as a community, as a, what I mean? How can we do that?
I would say, as someone who's grew up in America with like violence from the very beginning, we have to get the root of the problem. It didn't just start with this person or like the other shooter last week. This is how the country was claimed. So I feel like for a lot of time we've been ignoring the gun violence that started on the very way that land was taken and people was brought here. So I would say acknowledging the historical use of gun violence
Mm.
that has led to several of these incidents since I was a little kid, going back to Columbine. It's not like anything to smile about or anything, but it's like, how long are we going to continue to talk about the gun violence that is happening in our communities, in our schools, without acknowledging, those things? So we can acknowledge the past and how the access to these things is in fact affecting us in this present time. What can we do to create environments where people feel safe enough to get help, whatever that looks like for them? Um, because no one knows whatever reason this person did this to, especially little kids. I really don't. And then at church, right? That is just, you can't really try to make sense of it. To be honest, is really just trying to find a way to come together and support each other. That's some of the things that we even experienced as a community during like 9/11 in New York. How, yes, the tragedy happened, but how can we come together as a community to help each other? Usually they say, pray for the family of those people whose lives was taken, which is great. But how do we make this not happen again so we don't have to have the same problem again in the next couple months or next year or something like that?
I mean, the fact that this happened in a church, right? Those are people of faith, right? But how can faith communities integrate mental health resources, right? After tragedy like this, right? If you are, a church-going person, how can you incorporate mental health resources into that? Because obviously you are relying on your faith, a God, but what role, like, will mental health resources play, and to help family cope?
So one thing that helps me is scriptures to meditate on those things that God is close to the brokenhearted. So just leaning into meditating on those things and allowing God to, help you heal, but also tapping into the sources and community of, therapists to be able to get the support that you need because people are going through grief, whether it's an immediate person connected to the tragedy or as a community going through it collectively. Like, oh gosh, here we go again, another shooting, and then a shooting by little kids and then in Minnesota, right? It's not even that long from the other one from the representative.
Yeah.
So that is a collective grief that everyone in Minnesota is experiencing. Right now, I'm not in Minnesota, I'm in Atlanta. So like that was the reason behind the time kind of difference
Hmm.
there. But my daughter, she goes to college not too far from where this happened, and she
Mm.
texts me
Mm,
and she goes to a Christian college. So it's like there's kids who are still, experiencing things like Sandy Hook. Because at the time when my daughter was, younger, that's when the Hook situation happened. She would come to me and say, she's concerned about being in schools, those drills that they have to do.
Hmm.
Even with schools, churches, they need to be prepared to have these type of conversations with people. Because if these things are occurring in these places, then how do you comfort and console those people in those specific settings? So that could be a faith community because it happened in the church, is preparing them, yes, to have a scripture, but also to have that mental health support
yeah,
to go through those things. And the same thing with schools that these things occur in. How do we return to feeling safe again?
yeah. Okay. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing beyond therapy, and it's a timely conversation because we have Ms. Edrence Yalley in studio with us. She's a mental health professional, mental health and wellness professional. And it just happened that today our state, the great state of Minnesota, the state that we love, I love dearly, has experienced another tragedy. Second time in 2 months, another major tragedy, and today one was even more tragic. 17 kids, 19 kids were shot. Two instantly lost their lives, and the other 17 are currently in the hospital. The gunman took his own life, so there's 20 folks, what I mean, stuff like that. So you can contribute to the conversation by calling our number 952-594-5154, or just putting a comment in the chat. Miss B, question from you.
I mean, you talked about grief and how you can reference the fact that we have Columbine and we have Sandy Hook. And I think those probably stick out to folks because of the large number of lives that were lost, right? But this is something that happens more frequently than not when it comes to school shootings. What are some of the things that you are seeing that has kind of provided more resources like what you offer since between Columbine and Sandy Hook and now today?
I do believe that they're getting more resources out there as it relates to, like I mentioned, mental health first aid. But the question is, how many of those people in those places are receiving that level of education and awareness to see those signs in those type of people who
Mm,
have that isolated behavior? Because there's signs, but sometimes because people are so busy, don't really notice it or don't really have the tools to be able to approach those people who may seem like isolated to themselves, that maybe the people that's gonna, maybe in the future do these type of events. So I would say it's out there, but it needs to be more out there. I know recently I did something with the City of Brooklyn Center regarding community well-being, and these cities, these counties need to push more mental health resources and funding into the people that is supposed to be getting represented. So that's what I would say, to fund the heart and healing of the people. Public health is public healing. So
mm,
we can't really skip the health without spelling heal. So what does that look like in these different categories? Like, it's a holistic approach from schools to faith-based communities, to community centers and those type of things, having those workshops, those classes available for people, and having it a reflective way of the people that is being served in those communities, and not making it so hard for people to understand.
Yeah. When it comes to mental health, folks avoid, a lot of, even our community where we avoid a conversation. But how do you approach, especially folks that try to maybe avoid it, avoid seeking help, or maybe just go off the radar, right? It's like maybe the person's a lonely person, they just go off the radar. And then maybe like in this case, in this situation, even maybe if people that are close to them, maybe they thought that, oh, he's normal, right? He's fine. How do I mean how do you as a professional try to reach folks that are just off the radar, but maybe they are not fine, and then they'll just get up one day and do things like they did today?
yeah,
It's really about finding community even for those people.
yeah.
That's really what it is, because ultimately, whoever it is, they need some type of support. They just don't know how to find it. So think about activities that people would normally like to participate in. Sometimes like not everyone is like an athlete, but maybe they like to run or like to walk. So diversifying the way and the approach that we build community with people.
Okay, Miss B.
So I know you just talked about working in partnership with the city. Do you feel like the resources are affordable? Is there enough free work resources? Because it would have been great to know about that event, so that we could channel to send people there. I know awareness is a key, right? So basically, right now, what I'm trying to understand is, do you feel the resources are affordable? Do you feel like that awareness is there of the resources, the ones that are available?
I feel like events like that, the community health fair is a great start. I would say it's a
Okay.
start because there was a diversity of services and of people for sure, but
Okay.
it's about the consistency in that raising that awareness. It can't be like once a year type situation.
Hmm.
It has to be consistent. That's something that was discussed about that, and even like what you said, the affordability. Like these your citizens, so put your citizens' well being in the budget. That's just how I feel. Like if you want your city or your county to thrive, you have to create an environment for people to thrive. You have to provide those resources that they need for them, and that's something that was discussed, like having providers that look like the people they serve, because sometimes when not, people don't trust them to get help. So and even having people like having conversations like this, of saying like, hey, there's this going on in the city, right? People, I'm not sure people's marketing effort in these things, but those are the things that matter in like the consistency of programming, um payment, just like at a job, right? You can get a portion of your gym membership from your insurance. Similar programming should be available for people within the communities, within the schools, and all of those things. It is necessary. So I would say across the nation, it needs to be better. And even in Minnesota, as the most recent years that have been having a lot of challenges, but I do believe that Minnesota is called to make great changes in a time like this, for
Hmm.
sure. To show true leadership from the person all the way at the top, from a governor to a city council person, even regular citizens and community people, and businesses, because businesses can also support and fund and sponsor and collaborate, with people in community who are helping to make the community, well.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that you came of age during Columbine. There's has been so many other mental health challenges, so many other tragic events. What motivated you to go into mental mental health and wellness profession? What was it? What was it? What was the motivation behind that? Because man, we live in a crazy
I
country.
know, right?
There's so many crazy people here. I can't imagine I have to be counseling people and all those stuff, or maybe like telling them, hey, distress. What was the motivation behind that?
I would say with several things. One, I am Liberian, and there's a lot of trauma with being Liberian and displaced from your ancestral homeland, that most people don't really talk about. Like some Liberians come here with status, and some people like me did not come here with status. So I experienced a lot of anxiety around, deportation, which impacted my mental health. In addition to me becoming a mom at a young age, which was 17 years old. Everybody, there's postpartum. So imagine somebody going through postpartum at 17 years old. That was the second part. And then I was also serving at my kids' school as a volunteer wellness coach.
Mm.
And as I was supporting the kids to be fit in mind, body, and spirit, and saw how I was impacting them, and they would talk about their family. So I was like, maybe I should help their families. So that's how I began supporting moms, postpartum, and just with their maternal health, and their maternal mental health, and then extending to kids. through, yoga, mindfulness, meditation. Those are the tools along the journey that I learned, and know that it works. But then addition to like my personal experience of it working, experiencing teaching students in these schools and in these community classes, and getting feedback from them on how they felt after a class, or how it helped them long term after that. So just me going through my lived experience and noticing that I'm stressed and depressed and anxious, and how can I, heal. God promises to be a healer. If you read the Bible, Jesus was doing healing miracles. So that's why my faith is like at the forefront of it. But also the neuroscience that exists inside of mindfulness and meditation, and even in nature. Like nature is, and we have a lot of great parks in Minnesota. I would say that. So try to walk in nature if you're feeling a little stressed. We have so many great walking trails. That was really helpful too. So I would say that's another tool to use to help you with your mental health. So that's really the story behind Faith in Action and me becoming a mental health advocate and a wellness coach.
Okay, and the other thing though, right? Okay, now that you are in, why did you channel it, or maybe like decided to say, hey man, this thing, I'm passionate about it, but now I want to turn it into a business. How did that come about?
Again, I'm Liberian, and before it was a policy that was passed for me to be able to stay in this country, which was the Liberian Refugee Immigrant Fairness Act. I was figuring out how am I going to be able to take care of my kids and take care of myself, and I connected my gifts and my knowledge, and with actual solution that works, which all businesses are service, right? It's a service that is helping the people to be well, but also sharing the story of my healing and how God gave me this great idea. So
Mm,
that's ultimately the story about that, turning
mm,
it to a business.
okay, Miss B.
I mean, I commend you on your story. It's very touching, what you were able to do and how you are giving back in the profession that you have chose to go, the direction you chose to go in. I feel like you were giving some good problem solving or some solutions early on. And I just kind of want you to kind of reiterate some of those that you have proposed early on to community. Like, if we're not depending on elected officials and we're not depending on, folks in our community that are supposed to be in these positions to do that, what can we do for ourselves as a community to address some of these things that are happening?
Yeah, so like you, I think you mentioned the affordability aspect of things. You can journal, right? You could write down your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. That's something that you could get you a dollar notebook and a dollar pack of pens just to just get started on like processing your thoughts. That's
Hmm.
something that I did way before I had a therapist. Until you're able to afford, therapy. And there are also pro bono kind of therapists and stuff. You just gotta do the research. So writing, that's helpful. Again, walking, being in nature, unless you're paying for parking somewhere, walking is free. Um, so
Love
that's another thing. And again, while you're walking in nature, you could become aware of like how your body feels when you're walking and moving, how your breath feels in these places, and like really notice how you feel before and how you feel after that movement, because movement is medicine, right? um Music is something that is affordable that can help you to uplift your mood. It's really, unless you got to pay for your Wi-Fi, that's about it, your internet service, your phone bill. But music is affordable to listen to uplift your mood whenever you're going through whatever tragedy or hard time. I found that pretty helpful. So we have music, movements. We African, so dancing is always a part of the
that's me.
that's the somatic movement right there. That's part of it. Like ancestral wise, we already know dancing is gonna get you some movement going. So music, dancing, movement, writing, nature, Finding someone in your faith-based community that has the knowledge, because a lot of times even within the church they're not equipped, some people, to talk about mental health, whether they just don't know about it or they haven't processed their own stuff to be able to support you on that journey. So I would say God answers all prayers. I pray for a therapist and got a great one. So if you need that, you ask and you shall receive. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
Before I Abraham asks, I'm gonna ask you saying something right now, what you're ending with therapists. Do you encourage and promote people having a therapist like they have a dentist?
Oh, for sure. That's mental hygiene, right? That's really mental hygiene. Everybody want to go fit, get to the gym, be physically fit, but how are you mentally fit? And how do you check if you are mentally fit? You look at the thoughts that you have. Is it always negative? Is it always stuck in the past? Look at how you feel. Like, what things are making you triggered or upset? Or look at like your day-to-day behaviors and habits, and beliefs, and then that'll let you know, like, hey, I need some help. And then try to find some help. Of course, sometimes it's hard to find, culturally relevant or responsive care. Unfortunately, I don't know these people, but yeah, sometimes it's hard to find the right person. But just like people looking for men, looking for a woman, you can find a therapist. Okay.
That's
Okay.
nice. And as people, and then I think the next thing is people, and you kind of touched on it, is people think about where to look, would be great. And then also just kind of give us the range in cost, right? Because sometimes people think something's so expensive until they hear, you go, how us, like when we're not doing something, we like to deter people from doing it. Oh my, that's expensive, don't even bother. And then you be like, you know what, I'm not even gonna bother. So can you just kind of give us a range around the cost of a therapist?
I would say, one thing I would say, there's a cost in everything we do in this life, right?
That part.
In the Bible, it says to count up the cost. Count up the cost it takes for you to still live in the same generational trauma for 100 years ago,
Hmm.
from 30 years ago. How much is it costing your relationships? How much is it costing your bank account? How much is it costing your peace of mind? They said peace of mind is priceless. So that's something, if you really want peace, you wouldn't focus on like the big bracket. You will focus on, even if you have to budget for one therapy session a month, you'll
Mm,
make sacrifice. I see
mhm.
people with a long, long weave, the long, long nails, the big, big bottle then they can afford it. People can afford it. But to answer your question, most of it is like 150. 150 an hour. Usually people just do for hour sessions. That can be a part of your budget. You can save $75 one paycheck, $75 another paycheck. If you need to do a budgeting class, just let me know. But to
Love
be
it.
honest, like 150 is not too bad. And like again, I said there's companies who are offering like pro bono help, or even if you have state insurance, the state pays for it.
Hmm.
So I really don't understand how comes, I understand people who don't have insurance. Like back when I was like not green card person and I ain't have insurance, then it was a little different because no job, no insurance. But if you have state insurance, they're gonna pay.
Yeah. When someone comes to your studio, I mean, you just open your studio in Broken Park. When someone comes to the studio, what can they expect?
When they come to the studio, they can expect to be in a place that you feel heard, that you feel seen, and a place that we're gonna refresh before, like how you came in. So you're not gonna leave the same way that you came in. It's always gonna be a renewal.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah. The other thing though, like, so what does it take to come to your studio, right? It's like, what services do you provide specifically in your studio, and how much does it cost? I know Miss B was talking about cost earlier.
Yes. So for my classes, I have classes. My yoga classes is $20.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's pretty affordable. I have memberships for $99 a month, which you can get
Mm-hmm.
a couple classes in that month. for that $99. So even when people look at my studio, right, you think about how
Mhm.
much people pay for a gym membership, and
Mhm.
the gym is not helping you with no mental health. It's not helping you with your spiritual growth. So this is a place that's helping you with your mental health. If you have like a business you want to start or just need support, you're getting that type of support. You're getting community.
Mm.
Um, so I feel like that's really valuable for that price.
Mhm.
Compared to if you even if you look at the price of yoga classes, period, without any support after that. So
How is, I mean, since you established your studio, how is business going? You know, are folks embracing it? Are folks embracing the kind of services you're offering? I know I said a lot of folks. I mean, you mentioned earlier, right? And the way I want to frame that is you say you see the person with the nice bed, the long hair, but then and then the next minute you see them causing man calls on Facebook, or what have you, or you see them going off, so that's like, are folks embracing your services, what I mean, and things like that, or
yeah,
how are you doing outreach, for folks to make sure that you are here, you are serving the community.
I planted seeds for a lot of years, to be honest. A
Mm,
lot of
Mm.
years I taught in public places like at the park. I have partnerships with people at the park to teach classes there. So I planted those seeds in other people's spaces, whether
mm,
it's like community events for the city or just workshops that I did or partnerships with other organizations. So a lot of the people in the community know that. They've been coming to my classes and been waiting for me to have a space for them to
mm,
come. So I'm just really excited to
mm,
be able to live to tell the story and to be able to share the service
mm,
and just being able to do that. I'm grateful enough, and even like being able to have that sponsor the work that I'm doing in Liberia. I'm extremely grateful. I've did my first mental health workshop in Liberia. It's called Liberate Your Mind, and that was extremely powerful because we know that our country experienced a tremendous level of trauma that,
Yes.
unfortunately people have been sweeping under the rug for way too long. And now we've gone into a drug epidemic. So even with that, I have those conversations with the people there, just like I have conversations with people here. So I know that everything I grew up in, like growing up in Brooklyn, New York, where they had those issues there, and even being able to be a part of the solution now. So I'm just in a place of gratitude, to be honest.
okay, Miss B.
So, where are you located?
So the space is 7420 Unity Avenue. It's in Suite 202. Right now, I'm just starting off with teaching 3 classes a week because I want to take care of my well-being.
Yes.
So yeah, I teach classes 3 days a week. One of the classes is for moms on Mondays, and then we have a Saturday class, which is a community class. And I'm working to find more partnerships to be able to have more community circles,
Mm,
um, to be able to have that space of healing for the people, whether that looks like with a school and like just for the youth after school for somewhere to go, or that just looks like regular community classes with the women on, if guys want to come, because guys, I don't know. I wish them the best.
Praise God. Praise
okay.
God. That's
uh,
fabulous.
okay, what role you think social media is currently playing, right, or plays in like the mental health challenges we are faced with in this country, right? It's like everybody. Sometimes you see someone on social media, you say, "Oh yeah," it's like their behavior, makes you wonder, okay, what's going on with them? What role you think social media is playing when it comes to mental health and wellness?
I believe it can rob people of their peace if they let it. Like if
Mm.
you allow yourself to compare your life to other people, somewhere it says comparison is a thief of joy, right? So if you are too busy wasting your time comparing your life to other people, that's robbing you of your peace right there. And like not having peace affects your mental health. So that's why I would say in one thing. But then also on the other aspect of procrastinating, because sometimes we could just be scrolling and not getting work done, and then now you stress because you didn't get the work done. So that's like another part of it. So I just, recommend, because based on my own experience, just taking detoxes whenever you feel that way in your life. Having the awareness of, one, how you feel, right? If you feel jealous or envy or comparing, then that's time to take a break to be with yourself, because everything anybody else has, God is giving you the life and the power right now to be able to do whatever He has for you. He ain't lacking nothing. You ain't lacking nothing. That's just my belief. So yeah, just take a detox and just go within and do the activities that I shared earlier, so you can gain more peace for yourself and be able to be in your purpose. Because social media is not bad. That's how I'm able to do the work that I'm doing now, by sharing my story, sharing pictures from the places that I'm teaching, the classes. That's how I raise awareness to be able to have people to come to me in the first place. But it's all about your intentions and how you use something. Just like food is not bad, right? But if you eating too much, then it's not good.
Okay, Miss B.
Thank you. I really appreciated all the little gems that you just shared with us. And so again, because we want you to take this platform to be able to promote. Just tell us more before we finish here tonight. Tell us again location, hours, and some of the services that you will be providing for people to come and check you out, and how can they go and find out more about your business.
Yes, so the location is it's in the Unity Professional Building, 7420 Unity Avenue in Brooklyn Park, Suite 202. So that's the location. The offerings in the services is a regular, I wouldn't say it's regular. I would say it's a yoga class or a mindful movement class to get you connected back to your mind, your body, and your being, while being in community. So that's the classes, and they're $20. And then we have a membership, and it's $99 to be able to join like the group coaching program, where we meet there once a week to be able to go over your goals, whatever that looks like for you, and to be able to get a personalized wellness plan, because you have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then you cannot take action. The GPS is not going to move if you don't have an address. So just letting you know, when you come here, make sure you have some type of idea of what you want to accomplish as far as your goals, because there's something called post-traumatic growth, right? A lot of times when it comes to mental health, people focus on just the trauma aspect, but in post-traumatic growth is, how do you grow from that trauma? More positive mindset, spiritual growth, finding deeper purpose in life. Those are the things that I personally love to help people do. Like, yes, you experience this trauma and this hardship, but you can overcome it. We are more resilient than people even know. So that's one of my other things, is to encourage people, to remind them that they're resilient. So those are the classes. That's the membership. And again, it's just 3 days a week for now. I'm also going to have dance class, so Afro Dance Fitness. I'm my African dance teacher. So those of you who don't like, yoga or mindful movement, we still have another form of movement, which is dance, to Afro beats and Afro music.
Thank
So,
you. Who is, one second, who is your typical client?
I would say right now it's been a lot of women and a lot of mothers, and the clients has been the cities and the organizations who want me to serve their people. So that's who's been the client. I would love to see, if guys are open to being a part of these things. But again, the people who I've been putting the message out and who have been coming have been, those people, which is the women, the mothers, and then being able to serve in like the schools or the community level.
two
Thank
things.
you.
Two things. Are you doing intentional? I know you say you want guys to come. Are you doing intentional outreach to guys?
Like,
Because like
like, I don't know how
wait,
to
wait.
do that.
Okay.
I don't know how to do that. I
Okay.
don't really know how to speak. I don't know what language do you speak to them to say, hey guys, you want to work on your mental health. I feel like it'll be great because there's a lot of women into like self-care and healing and growth. Like, how do hey guys, like, how do I do that? You're a guy. Maybe you can give me some tips. I'm always open to learning. So maybe you could be my first person and you can let people know. I don't know, but yeah.
No, I don't.
And you
I
know
don't
me
have a
since I
tip.
was a teenager, like a little
I don't have a
kid.
tip for you. I don't have a tip for you. But the reason why I brought it, the reason why I brought that up, right, is like
Uh-huh.
you see most of these gun violence or mass shooting, and you know what I mean, it's done by
It's
guys. I
guys.
think
Yeah.
it's guys. I think guys suffer from more mental health, than you ladies. But we don't admit it, right? You guys admit it. You guys talk about self care. So I mean,
I
why
help the
can't
moms. That's one thing I learned. So with that problem is whatever a mental or emotional disconnection that starts in the upbringing of the child to get to this level of, violence or entitlement. That's usually what it is, from what I've learned. So like if I help a mom, she can go help her son so that they don't have to be doing shootings.
But his son is not in the house anymore, right? It's like his son is gone, or he's a grown man, but he needs therapy. He needs wellness. How you reach out? Because the thing is, right? I think
Mhm.
what you're doing, I mean, is great, right? There's a huge need for mental health awareness in this country and in our communities. But how do we reach out the right people, like you said earlier, right? I mean, you have specific clients
I
right
have
now.
guy friends too. So I
Hmm.
promote my guy friends. So maybe
Okay.
people are more called, like guys are more called to work with guys. So
Hmm.
that's the other thing that I do is I share my guy friends posts when they're having classes, or I text it to people that way too. But I believe it's all about the communities in which these people live in, right?
Okay.
Like I said, I've worked with schools, and in those schools, they made it part of their school class to attend this, or
Hmm.
even like with churches, like make it a part of that to gain this type of knowledge. We can't be learning all this other stuff in school, but not learning about mental health.
Exactly.
Ain't no way. And
Okay.
if that's the place most people are spending their time, that's why I said either with a parent, a school, or a church or a community. Those is the four areas of connection or in that ecosystem or community to reach that contact of that person. So
Yeah.
Do you think, like Minnesota, our country as a whole, and we as an immigrant, we are suffering from like trauma fatigue, right? Because as you said, we're from Liberia. Some of us came from civil war. Now we come in this country. 1 minute there's shooting, there's mass shooting here and there. Do you think we are suffering from trauma fatigue?
for sure. They call it compassion fatigue, especially if
Mm,
you hurt about stuff a lot. So
mm,
yeah, a lot of people do experience that, and then on the opposite side, people get numb to it, and it
Mm,
has been normalized and desensitized that, oh, it's just another shooting, and we
that part.
cannot allow it to just be desensitized like it's a walk in the park, like a regular day. No.
That part.
mm. But
So that's the two ways to look at it.
how can we continue then to have the conversation, right? Especially with these kids, right? As you said, where they are going, you talk about your daughter earlier, she's afraid to go to school because they are doing drills, right? Or even like now my kids, I'm kind of, I'm telling, it's like I'm worried, right? As a parent, I say, okay,
Yeah,
now
they
it's
do
like,
school shooter drills. They do lockdowns, literally
how is
from
that?
little kids.
How do you think that's affecting them mentally, right? How they dealing with that, right? How should a child process that?
I feel like, it's up to those environments like the school to let kids know um, about their safety. And I
Mhm.
feel like after like the Sandy Hook, they did improve safety wise. At least I would speak for my kids' school. With like you have to swipe your ID, you got to go through the glass. There's a lot of like security before you even get into school, before
That,
anybody
yeah,
could just walk into school
yes,
before.
that's
So
true.
I do feel like they improved the security in the schools. But what is the security in the church, and why do people need security at the church? So you let me know that we need security at church.
Yeah.
And that, you just alluded to maybe that's why that area was chosen, because yes, schools have been better at the mechanism of locking the kids in when they enter those buildings and making sure that um, the people that are there are the people who are allowed to be there. They're doing a lot better jobs at that. But that's a good question. What is it about the church that this person felt like, and to be honest, as we talk about it and we think about it, that it's like you're creating a whole different type of monster now, right? Whereas folks, oh, I have limited access to schools. Now let me go and address the church. I know we had the kid who did something to the folks in the church years ago, the guy that got served Burger King by the police.
Hmm.
But thinking about what you're saying right now, that this was done in the church, it just like now the church have to have some kind of um, same method or idea of protection. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, right, in many immigrant, like especially our communities, right, mental health remains a taboo. How do you break through cultural stigma, encouraging family to seek help, right? How are you encouraging folks, or how do you encourage folks to seek help when it's a taboo? We don't talk about it. As you said, men are not, men they're not talking about it, but experiencing it. How do you break through the cultural stigma?
You let them know that you see them. You acknowledge the stress that they're experiencing. I have brothers, and I do really well in like letting them know that I know that this life is stressful. Family is stressful. I'm here to listen to them, but also creating time for us to do those things, like having those conversations. Right? We culturally are a community people, and a part of our healing practices have been community. What they call it, Palawa hut conversations. So we have the tools. We just have to remember what we use and to continue to use those things, because that's what worked for us for centuries. So having those knowledgeable, even like the elders being educated on these things so that they can be able to be innovative with those conversations. So letting people know that you see them when they look stressed or feel stressed. Because sometimes people don't even have to say anything. You can feel that they're stressed, right? Or
Okay.
you can notice their distance. So acknowledging them, and then for me, like not making it a taboo. You overcome by the word of people testimony. So I often share the times when I was stressed and depressed, and like the times that God was able to encourage me through scripture, right? It says to be anxious for nothing. It said can worrying add another day to your life? And worrying doesn't add to your life, it takes away from your life. The stress kills. A lot of diseases are actually stress related diseases. So I educate people as well that a lot of the illnesses that we have is stress related,
Mm-hmm.
and to promote that, hey, we can overcome these things. We have these tools, and hey, you can do it with me, or you can find somebody else to do it with. But either way, you got options.
Where do you see your business? I mean, the studio, like in 5 years. Where do you see yourself?
Oh, we big. We big. I already know, because like you said, the people need it.
Mm.
So if the people need it, then you have to supply the demand. So that part is me training more facilitators in the things that I know. I have a liberated embodiment framework, inspired by being a Liberian girl, but also understanding what it means to be embodied, right? To be present in mind, in body, and soul, and to be present in your environment, and how you can do that too for yourself when you take the time to be still, like my shirt says.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
facilitating, I have retreats coming up, because sometimes you need a change in environment. You can't heal in the same environment you got sick in. So sometimes you need to detox in a different environment. That looks like somebody is giving us land so that people can use nature to heal in. That's what that looks like. So land so people can heal in nature, more trainers and facilitators, connecting people back to the continent for cultural exchange trips, um in real estate, because people need money. That's the honest truth. A lot of money, no money is stress. So
Yes.
money for opportunities to build wealth through cooperative economics is something that I'm working on right now. Through real estate and through agriculture, I remind people of our greatness and knowledge of agriculture and how that agriculture knowledge built the wealth of the American South. So we got to get back in the field and not for free anymore. So that's part of what I say.
I agree. You're bringing our night full circle. Wednesday
Mhm.
is usually our business and finance night.
Yeah.
And we're always talking about, building wealth, talking about Black wealth building. So we would love to have you back on another Wednesday around business and finance as you're talking about cooperative wealth building. What does it look like coming together with a group of other women who are in the mental health and awareness field, right? And buying a facility together cooperatively and offering
Yes.
all of these services in your own very own commercial space. So love to have
Yes.
you for that topic.
That is the goal. Like that is the goal. Like last week, the senator Amy Klobuchar, she was discussing how there's certain funding available for retail spaces, and even with the help of childcare, right? There's a childcare issue, so the goal is to have a huge like retail space and have some for childcare, some for wellness studio and therapy, and then
For
some for
dance.
businesses. Yeah. So I
Okay.
could definitely tell you more, but it's already mapped
Yeah.
out. The vision is clear. It's just to share that with the people, and whoever wants to join can become a member in the same way there's a Sam's Club membership and a Costco membership, but this is going to the wealth and well-being of our community.
Yes,
Wow, that's
thank you,
powerful. That's
Adrian.
powerful. That's powerful.
Love it. Love it.
Folks, I mean, we've been discussing beyond therapy here tonight, and we have, as Miss B said, we have gone full cycle, right? Trying to heal ourselves, and then from there now we tie it back into our business segment. But we can keep going all night. It's been great having you, man. It's like I've been knowing you for a minute, for a while, but I didn't know you were this knowledgeable. I didn't know you were this passionate about your work, and things like that. But it's like you are loaded. That's what I can say to that. You are very loaded, and you are well rounded, and stuff like that. So kudos to you. Good luck to whatever it is that you are doing. But Miss B, last question, comment to Adrian, and then we can try to wrap it up.
No, I just want to say thank you for joining us this tonight. It's been a pleasure getting to know about you, the work that you're doing in community, and I mean it. I want to have you back on again. I'm inviting you here for another Wednesday segment. Love to hear more about this cooperative wealth building and shared ownership model that you are looking to bring to the community.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I look forward to coming back. Nexus is actually who trained me on that. But tapping into Liberian history, Susu is a part of our lifestyle. That is community cooperative economics. We got to get back to
Yes.
to those things. So
Yeah.
let me know, and I'm here.
Okay. Lastly, then, what message, as I said, our community is grieving, our state is grieving, our city is grieving. A lot of parents tonight, still processing the events of the day. What's the message you want to leave for all those having listening to us that are going to listen to this segment?
I would say, we often hear thoughts and prayers to the family, and I do send those out to them. But faith is more than just prayers, it's taking action steps towards healing, wholeness, and wellness. And what does the healing from gun violence and these mental problems or whatever issues look like that we can really begin to create sustainable solutions? So that's what I would say. And this is a collective thing. We have to work together.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you so much, Edrence Yalley. It's been a pleasure having you, as Miss B said. I mean, you are very, very knowledgeable. You know your stuff. You are passionate about it, and we hope to have you back here on the business segment. But thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Thank you so much for bringing hope and healing to our audience tonight. And our thoughts and prayers are with all those, are with the state of Minnesota, are with the parents tonight, are with the kids that are still in the hospital. We pray for them. And so it's our hearts are heavy, but it is what it is. So thank you so much, and folks, that's the end of our show tonight. We're gonna be back here tomorrow, same time, 7:30. We are here 5 days a week. So thank you so much for joining us, and it's been a pleasure having you guys. Thank you, folks, and you all have a good night.
Good night,
thanks. Good
everybody.
night.